just one other thing, because I was in Treasury. So in December of 2007, one of the Sea Org members came up to me with a paper bag filled with euros and said, this bag of money is for the IAS office in Copenhagen. You are going to take the bus from Berlin to Copenhagen to deliver this paper bag full of money to the IAS office in Copenhagen. And I thought that was really peculiar, that the org had actually been taking people, Germans, they would take the bus at night from Berlin to Copenhagen to give money, okay, money from the IAS Berlin to the IAS in Copenhagen. And a couple of times prior, the Germans were getting asked, right? Why are you here? What are you doing? And there was some suspicion because there had been the same person and the same group of people had been delivering this cash, like physical cash. So then, because I have a Canadian passport, I was selected to drop off this cash. And it was somewhere around 6,000 or 7,000 euros in a paper bag. And I went up to Copenhagen to deliver this cash. And I always thought that that was very, very strange that because normally when you enter from a different country, you got to pay taxes and duties and stuff like this, but that they were basically running thousands and thousands of euros from one IAS office to the next, and that they were getting kind of suspicious about it. And then they left it to me and they paid for my bus ticket. I wasn't able to stay. So all I did was I took a night bus overnight to Copenhagen. So something like 6 to 8 hours. I went from the bus station. I walked to the CLO base, AO base in Copenhagen. They gave me 20 euros for food. And I took the next bus back to Berlin. And it was just to give money, cash, nothing, physical cash, including banknotes and coins to go from IAS to IAS. And I did that. And I always thought that was really bizarre. And the idea was that they didn't want to, for some reason, they didn't want to transfer it through the bank, or they couldn't transfer it through the bank because German banks are always very suspicious. And it was a large amount. And they told me a bunch of stuff if I get stopped by police and border, and like to act stupid. And that because I had a Canadian passport, no one would say anything, and they didn't. So that was just very interesting.
How are you supposed to act stupid about a paper bag full of 7,000 euros?
What did they tell me to say? I can't even remember. You're not supposed to take over 10,000, I think, euros or something across the border. But then again, they're part of the EU. Like nothing, it was sketchy, put it that way. Nothing made sense in this whole endeavor. But they were telling me like, oh, it's my money, and I work in volunteer, and to basically being vague. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm a staff member from Scientology, but oh, I work for a nonprofit and I'm going to another nonprofit. And this is, we have an organization and we can't really wire transfer right now because we have problems with computers or whatever. So it's my job. I'm going to, go from this nonprofit organization in Berlin to this other nonprofit organization in Copenhagen. I'm just giving this money. I don't really even know where it comes from necessarily. Like, just to get off the fact that it's two Scientology orgs. It was this rigmarole that I was supposed to say. It was really, really bizarre. And it was just like, I did it once and that was it. But it was weird. It was really
Were
weird.
you specifically told not to say Scientology?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Has nothing to do with Scientology. Even though, again, the moment I got off the bus at Copenhagen, I walked to the Copenhagen AO, and I specifically asked, I guess it's for the IAS ICEU, so the International Association of Scientologists in charge in Europe. And she was a young woman, I think she was German, and I asked for her at the reception. She came down, we transferred it, and then I left. You know, like, it
Who
was so
who in
weird.
Berlin? Sorry, who in Berlin asked you to do the delivery?
So that was the ED who was near me at the time, and it also went through, I think, I remember maybe Cornelius was there, definitely
No, that's fine.
Roman.
I just wanted to
But I'm sorry,
establish
I'm sorry, I'm
because
sorry.
well, no. I mean, I just wanted to establish that it
Yeah,
wasn't even the IAS rep who asked
right.
you to do this. And I just wanted the
No,
only reason I wanted to establish that is because
yeah.
the IAS as a legal entity
Hmm.
does not have anything to do with the Church of Scientology International.
That's right.
And the Church of Scientology in Berlin is an organization that is its own LLC or corporation, I'm
Yep.
sure, but is licensed by the Church of Scientology International. The IAS exists as this separate organization that, legally speaking, has nothing to do with the Church of Scientology International. And yet, a staff member of CSI is the one asking another staff member of CSI to do a cash run for the IAS. And this is where
Sure.
things get just legally interesting.
So we did have, for example, an IAS rep for like the first few months, but that person went off staff. So, because we had like a whole IAS reg office and whatnot, as I mentioned, on the first floor. So that person went off staff. He had a big blow up with the executives, left. So all the IAS stuff was just left to Treasury. So we had a lot to do with it, and also Div 7. So a lot of the times the EU and some of the XX staffs were over it because I think the IAS reg is part of Div 2. So then I think, or is it maybe part of Div 6? I can't remember the
Div
org
6.
board. It's Div 6. Okay. So that makes sense because it's in the Div 6 area.
But that's the other place where it gets
regardless.
legally in. But that's
Yeah.
the other place where it gets legally interesting is because
Yeah.
you do have on a Scientology org board a position that is rarely filled, but more often these days, whose job it is to raise money for the IAS, even though the
Yeah.
IAS is a separate entity.
That's right.
So that gets interesting. So
That's right.
were you specifically told, though, that this money was local IAS money?
Oh yes, yeah, no, it was people who had donated for their lifetime memberships, and also from other straight donations to the IAS. And they had not done a run in a few months because they were getting suspicious when this other staff member was going like every couple months, and so it was hard cash that the people had donated.
But those donations would never have been made in cash in the first place. It would have always been check or credit card. So they would have had to go to the bank, make a cash withdrawal just to take a 6-hour bus ride to Copenhagen to give it to them. That's weird.
I couldn't tell you because the IS stuff we never dealt with in Treasury. I can tell you about paying bills. I can tell you about bank reconciliations and just trying to keep our fucking accounts in order. But the IS was a different beast. And so you're right. If it was a Treasury thing, we had cash on hand, and we also, dispersed cash a lot. And we had to pay bills. Of course, sometimes we did pay with cash, or sometimes we mostly was check. But yeah, I couldn't tell you with the IS. The IS was a totally different beast. And it was just bizarre, as I can say. And I did the cash run, went there, went back, and then nobody talked about anything. They just said, did this person get the cash? I said, yeah, give it to this person in their hand. They went upstairs. I left. It was just odd. And it was because Canadian passport. I had my mom said, why didn't you take the cash, take a flight to like Switzerland, open a bank account and come home? And I was like, well, why would I do that? Like, I mean, I hated being there, but why would I do that? And she was like, because they're paying you nothing. And, you could have easily just come home. What would they have known? And I'm like, yeah, but it was IS money. Like I was so in the other world of like, this could have been my ticket out if I was nefarious, but whatever. Yeah. I'm actually glad
that's not how people think. I mean, Scientologists are in there for a reason. No one's in there trying to figure out how to screw the entire organization.
That's what I'm saying. But whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe. scrabble.